Fall dinners deserve better than the same old sides. These recipes are easy to make, but they look like you went all out.
These fall favorites make every dinner feel a little more special.
Pumpkin soup is the perfect fall side dish to make your dinner feel fancy and cozy at the same time. I'm going to start out by sauteing some onions in a little bit of olive oil, just until they're translucent. Then add the garlic to the pan and push it around just a little bit, just for about 30 seconds or so to wake it up. Next, we're going to add in the pumpkin puree. This is 100% pure pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling. Just go ahead and stick that all in there. That mixed up a little. Okay, then we're going to add the broth. I've got 2 cups of chicken broth. You could also use vegetable broth. Pour that in, and then we're going to go in with the salt and pepper, the cumin, and the thyme. Lots of flavor right there. Stir that all up and cover it with a lid. We're going to let this simmer on low for about 10 minutes to develop the flavors. Now we're going to puree the soup. This is what gives it that really smooth, velvety consistency. I'm going to use my immersion blender so that I can blend it right here in the pot. It'll take about 3 minutes. Don't stop early or it won't get quite as silky smooth. I also am going to add a little bit of heavy cream to make it just a little creamier. This is optional. If you like it creamy, go ahead and add that now. Stir that in. I think you just cannot beat creamy pumpkin soup in the fall. It's so filling and creamy. It's just delicious.
We've been making this pear and gorgonzola salad for years now. It's everyone's favorite, and it's easy to see why. It's full of ripe, tender pears, zingy gorgonzola, walnuts, cranberries, and a homemade apple cider vinaigrette. I'm going to start by toasting the walnuts for a minute in a pan. It doesn't take long, and it takes away the raw taste of the walnuts. You can use whatever salad blend you like. I'm using a wild lettuce mix. Then pile on the pears, cheese, walnuts, and cranberries. Now, let's mix up the dressing. All you need is a little olive oil, apple cider vinegar, honey, Dijon. Mix that up. When you're ready to serve the salad, pour on the dressing and give it a toss. All these flavors go so well together and pair perfectly with a holiday meal. This butternut squash and arugula salad brings plenty of seasonal flavor to the table. First things first, peel your squash. Once it's peeled, cube it into bite-sized pieces. Toss them in olive oil, salt, and pepper. Then spread them out on a baking sheet. Make sure to give them some room so they roast, not steam. While that's roasting, let's talk maple dressing. We're shaking up olive oil, maple syrup, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and just a whisper of nutmeg, cumin, cinnamon, and salt. It's sweet, tangy, and spiced like autumn in a jar. Now we build arugula for a peppery bite, roasted squash, crumbled feta, crunchy walnuts, and dried cranberries for that sweet tart pop. Drizzle on that maple dressing right before serving so the greens stay nice and perky. This salad brings all the great flavors of the season onto the plate, but it's still really bright and light. This fall kale salad with warm bacon vinaigrette is the fresh, savory side that balances out a cozy dinner.
One of the things you can't skip out on is massaging the kale. You just need a little bit of olive oil and some salt, then get your hands in there and massage it into the kale. It helps break down the leaves and it makes them a lot softer. Did you know that chickpeas have a shell on them? You don't have to remove the shell, but it does make them a lot more pleasant to eat. Rinse them, then fill the bowl with water and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Microwave it for 1 to 2 minutes, then rinse with cold water and massage them with your hands. The shells will come right off. Now I can add the shelled chickpeas to the salad. I'm using just about 1/2 cup of these. You can use as many or as few as you like, along with the almonds and the Parmesan cheese. One last ingredient for our salad is the warm bacon vinaigrette. Okay, the bacon is done, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that out and just set it aside for now. So the basis of this dressing is the warm bacon grease, but you don't want too much bacon grease or it'll be a little bit too greasy. You need about 2 to 3 tablespoons. If you have significantly more than that, remove some of it now and you can always add some back later. So add the shallots and saute them over medium heat just until they're softened. It'll take maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Make sure the heat's not up too high. Now we can add the vinegar, brown sugar, and mustard to the pan and whisk that all together. Try to get all those brown bits off the bottom of the pan. Oh, I can't even tell you how good this smells. I'm so excited for this salad. But first, most important part, we need to crumble up this bacon and get it on the salad. And give it a quick toss. And here's where the magic happens. Let's pour this dressing right over the top. And there's our side salad, a beautiful kale salad with lots of good crunchy stuff in there. And I'm just gonna sneak a taste here. Oh, it's really good. Butternut squash pasta is a great fall side dish that no one sees coming. It's creamy and just packed with fall flavor. Let's start with the butternut squash. This guy just needs to be peeled and cubed. Now you can take a knife and just run it down the side, and that's probably the easiest way to get rid of the peel. But you can also just peel it with a peeler. Just slice it up and then you can cube it. You'd need about 3 cups or 16 ounces. I've got a pot here with some boiling water, salted of course, and I'm just gonna put in about 8 ounces of rigatoni. If you have not been eating crispy sage, you have to start now. It is so good. Sage has a pretty bitter, sharp taste when it's raw, but it transforms into this nutty, crispy gem when it's fried. You just need some oil in a pan and then flip it over after a little bit so that it gets crispy on both sides. It'll take about 3 minutes. When it's crispy, you can put it on a paper towel to soak up any extra oil. In the same pan, add the remaining olive oil and then saute that butternut squash for about 5 minutes until it's just a little bit tender. Add in the garlic and let that become fragrant. Again, just about 30 seconds is all it needs. Okay, now let's pour in the vegetable stock. And we're just gonna let this sit here and simmer. You can turn it down a little bit if you need to, just so that it's barely at a simmer. And we're gonna leave this for about 10 minutes until the squash becomes fully soft. Now, with your rigatoni, it's ready, so don't forget to capture a little bit of that pasta water before you drain, and then you can drain the pasta. When the squash is done, you're just gonna pour the butternut squash and a little bit of that cooking liquid into the blender. You probably don't need all of the cooking liquid, so keep a little bit back to add in case you need it later. And then we'll just blend this until it's smooth. Pour that sauce back into the pan and stir in the grated cheese. It might take a minute. You want to turn the heat back on to low for the cheese to melt fully. Then you can add the pasta and toss it around to get all of the rigatoni coated. This is where you can also use that pasta water that you saved in case it needs to be smoothed out a little bit, or if it's looking a little too dry, just pour in a little bit of water. Serve it warm with some extra cheese and crispy sage crumbled on top. This herb and mushroom couscous is a great side dish for fall with its warm, comforting flavors. Once it's hot, add about half of a small onion and 8 ounces of chopped bella mushrooms. Cook it until all the liquid has evaporated and the mushrooms have started to turn brown, about 8 minutes. Now that these are cooked down, I'm just gonna remove about half of them from the skillet and set that aside. We're gonna use that as a topping for the couscous. Then add 2 cloves of minced garlic and cook for 1 minute. It's starting to get really aromatic. Now let's pour in the couscous and the chicken broth and some salt and pepper. Got about half a teaspoon of both. Stir that up. I'm using Moroccan couscous for this, not pearl couscous. Now that we're about ready to serve, we can take that lid off. And this is looking great. And we're gonna add back in those mushrooms that we reserved earlier. And I'm gonna add some fresh thyme and some lemon zest. This is smelling so great and it's ready to serve. It pairs well with anything, so it's great to take to a shared dinner or potluck.
Fall is peak corn season, and we're maximizing on that with this jalapeno cream corn. Heat a Dutch oven or large oven-safe pot over medium heat and add a little bit of vegetable oil. Once it's hot, toss in your diced jalapenos. Saute those for about 1 to 2 minutes, just until they're slightly softened. Once those jalapenos are just a little bit softened, we're gonna make the roux. Add 3 tablespoons of butter and let it melt. Then add 3 tablespoons of flour and whisk it together. Let it cook for a minute or two, cook out the raw flour. Now pour in 12 ounces of heavy cream and 10 ounces of milk. Then add 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Stir everything together and bring it to a gentle boil. Add in 2 cans of drained corn and gently stir everything together so it's evenly coated in that creamy sauce. This is gonna cook for a few minutes until it starts to thicken. You'll feel it start to solidify, so don't walk away, you don't want it to burn. Sprinkle half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese over the top. This gives you that golden, slightly crispy finish. Bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, uncovered, for about 20 to 25 minutes. We want it to be bubbling all the way through. By the way, if you want to check out the full recipe, it's in the description down below. Or you can go to our website, A Food Lover's Kitchen. We have tons of great recipes there for you to try. It'll thicken a little as it cools, so don't worry if it looks just a little bit loose when you take it out of the oven. I like to sprinkle on a little toasted panko breadcrumbs for some crunch and chopped parsley for color. Scoop it up while it's warm. This is rich, creamy, and just a little bit spicy from the jalapeno. It's sweet, savory, cheesy. Honestly, it's kind of hard to stop eating. Creamy, cozy, and packed with flavor. These white beans are the side dish you'll make all throughout fall. For the beans, I'm using 2 cans of cannellini beans that have been drained and rinsed. These white beans are tender and will soak up a lot of flavor. You can soak and cook dried beans if you want. This is just a little faster. Heat a pot for the beans over medium heat. Add the beans, chicken stock, lemon zest, garlic, and salt. This is where the magic happens. The beans get super creamy. Cook the beans at a low simmer for about 5 minutes until creamy and the liquid is partially reduced. Well, the beans are done cooking. Let's get them dressed up. Add the spinach and let it wilt. Add the rosemary and Parmesan cheese. Stir to combine the ingredients, taking care not to break up the beans. Now we can fill up the bowls with the beans. And add a spritz of lemon juice to brighten it. Doesn't that look great? This loaded baked potato soup is the cozy fall side dish that makes any dinner feel special. Start by adding cubed russet potatoes to a pot of lightly salted boiling water. Russets are the best choice because they're starchy and drier than other potatoes, so they break down beautifully and give the soup a naturally velvety texture. Keep them at a medium boil for about 10 minutes until they're tender. But keep an eye on them. You don't want them to overcook or they'll become mushy and lose their shape. While the potatoes are cooking back there, grab a separate pot and melt some butter. We're gonna saute the onions for about 5 minutes until they're soft. Toss in the garlic and cook it for about 30 seconds so it becomes fragrant. Now add the flour, salt, and black pepper. Whisk it all up and give that about a minute to cook out the raw flour. Slowly pour in the heavy cream, whisking to dissolve any lumps. Next, we're gonna add the chicken broth and keep whisking until it's nice and smooth. This is when it starts getting really thick into our nice creamy soup. And I think our potatoes are done, so let's get them off and drain them. Then you can add about half of them directly into the pot. The russet potatoes are really great for the soup because they break down and make the soup nice and thick and velvety. But we do still want there to be some recognizable chunks in there too. So we're gently gonna mash those potatoes. And once that's done, we can add the rest of the potatoes, which will stay as chunks. At this point, we're just gonna simmer it until it's heated through and thickened to your liking. Serve it loaded with crispy bacon, shredded cheddar, and green onions. This soup is rich and creamy and everything you want on a chilly fall night.
Everyone loves garlic Parmesan roasted potatoes, right? Well, today we're turning that into a potato salad. It's a little lighter, a little brighter, and it has pistachios in it. Rinse and quarter 1.5 pounds of baby potatoes. Add them to a bowl with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 4 cloves of finely minced garlic, half of the Parmesan cheese, that's a 1/4 cup, salt and pepper. Toss it to make sure all of those potatoes get coated. Spread the potatoes in a single layer on a baking sheet and sprinkle with the remaining 1/4 cup of that Parmesan cheese. Just get it all right over the top. You're gonna roast these for 25 to 30 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit until they're nice, tender, and golden. For the dressing, combine half a cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of stone ground mustard, season it with salt and pepper, and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Then whisk it up until it's smooth. Once the potatoes have cooled, you can add them to the dressing along with 2 chopped green onions, 1 small English cucumber that's chopped, a 1/3 cup of salted shelled pistachios chopped, and 2 tablespoons of fresh dill. Look at that. It's gonna be a winner at the party for sure, and it's great served either warm or cold.
I love the pistachios. They give it this little buttery crunch.
I agree, and I also like that it's just a little bit different from your typical potato salad. I'm definitely making this again. Now you have 10 exciting new fall side dishes to carry you through the season.
Soup season is my favorite part of fall. Make it yours too with these 5 fall soups we make on repeat all season.